Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, December 27th. We end this holiday-shortened trading week as we round out 2024. Yesterday, markets ended mixed but muted. The Dow picked up 28 points or 0.07%. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ closed off slightly. The S&P 500 shed 2 points or 0.04%. The NASDAQ gave up 10 points or 0.05%. Bill, let's get into Friday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're down 0.32% this morning. We've been holding at this level almost all morning. The trading range is pretty tight as well. But there's some pockets of green out there. Volumes are thin. I mean, weakness is in virtually all sectors. But these quantum stocks are running. They're running hot. I'm seeing strong gains in the quantum stock sector. Interesting of note, streaming services like Netflix and Disney, they're reporting positive viewership for those holiday sporting events. Remember, Disney had NBA and Netflix had NFL, and they said, the viewership was very strong for those sporting events. Mastercard comes out and says that holiday spending increased 3.8% with strength in apparel and restaurants. Nice to see. GDYN, Grace, David, Yellow, Nancy, that's grid dynamics. That's going to be added to the S&P 600 on Thursday, January 2nd. Let's see, what else we got here? Let's take a look at the action that's happening overseas, because Europe did open back up this morning. We are seeing gains over there. I mean, the DAX is up 115 points or 0.58%. The FTSE's, the FTSE's been going back and forth between gains and losses. It's now higher by 3 points or 0.04%. The CAC, on the other hand, that's higher by 0.72% or 52 points. So it's all positive. The financial stocks are having a nice run in France, the French markets, and as well as the German markets. We're seeing gains in the banking stocks. In London, the mining stocks are trading lower. That's causing some of the weakness in the FTSE, or capping the gains, I should say. Then we're looking at Asia. Asia was back open, and we saw the Nikkei jump 713 points. It's 1.80%. Key thing is yen weakness and indications that the Bank of Japan may delay its rate hikes. That's causing that market to rally. Hong Kong financials are weak. You look at the market; it fell 7 points or 0.04%. Tech and property stocks edged higher. And then in China, you saw a gain of 2 points or 0.06%. The market's really waiting on Beijing's stimulus plan. They want to hear about it so they can assess it to see if it's going to help fix that struggling economy. Then we're taking a look at oil this morning, and oil is trading higher, up about 0.9%. You got WTI at $70.25 a barrel. You got Brent at $73.88 a barrel. Today, the focus is going to be in the Energy Information Administration. They rescheduled their weekly report. It's now going to come out today at 1 p.m. Expectations, for this report, they're kind of wide, between 1.1 and 1.9 million barrel draw. That would be positive for oil prices. But we'll have to wait and see. But that oil stockpile report comes out at 1, as well as the Baker Hughes rig count figures come out at 1 today, Emily.
And Bill, you did just note a couple of economic reports coming out today, and we will get to the economic reports in just a moment. Before we get there, we'll just take a pause here to really say there's not really any earnings action to be following. Again, we mentioned on yesterday's show with the holiday week and then earnings season coming up in sort of mid-month of January 2025. There's not much action on this front, but Bill, anything we should take note when it comes to earnings action?
No, I don't see any news out on the earnings front today. As I said, end of the year, relatively quiet. Tape's kind of volume of the stories on the tape is low, so nothing to say on earnings this morning.
And even with the volume on the tape low here, we're still keeping track of what information is coming out. There are a couple of economic reports to note. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
At 8:30 before the bell, we have the report on international trade and goods. And then at 1 p.m. we get the EIA oil stockpiles report. So those are the key ones coming out today, Emily.
And the other thing you are keeping track of today, even if it isn't as hot as it normally is, are other market moving pieces of information. You break your newsware down into different types of news and information, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and other catalysts. And you're able to watch all of that. And even though there isn't a lot hitting the tape, you are still looking at your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks grouped together and keeping track of anything that may be important to note. Even on a slow trading day, light volumes, and even on a slow news day, there's still always a few pieces of information to keep in mind. So, Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 25 lower, 5 higher. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Little positive action. Apple, everything else is lower. Something to be concerned about. Listen, Amazon holiday spending rose 3.8% with apparel and restaurants strong, according to Mastercard. That's nice. Netflix, so streaming services, reported positive viewership for the holiday sporting events. That's positive. Talking Dow Jones, and we're talking Microsoft because OpenAI, that ChatGPT had an outage yesterday, and it was caused by an upstream provider. They're still working through that issue. Nike, UBS released its survey data indicating Nike and Jordan brands remain strong. Okay, I wouldn't be buying the stock based on the UBS survey, that's for sure. But Emily, that's all I'm really seeing for today.
This is the type of data that Newsware delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, slow news cycle, slow economic data, slow earnings action. It's a Friday on a holiday week, but you're still going to make a pick. So what is your pick of the day today?
Quantum stocks are moving. If I can get in the right price, I can make some money here. RGTI, Richard Grace, Tom, India, Rigetti Computing. This is the one that I think has a nice potential this morning. The key is I want to get it, I got to get it at a good price, but I'm looking at yesterday's call volume, 263,931 calls versus 109,737. That's more than 2-to-1. I like that. The brokers are cautious on it, but they do like the stock, and it is in the right sector. It is in a hot sector. The key for this one is you got to get in at the right price. What is that right price? I'm thinking 16.90, give or take 10 cents. That's kind of like what I'm seeing. So yeah, that's my pick of the day. RGTI, Race, Richard Grace, Tom, India, Rigetti Computing, Emily.
Bill, looking at that quantum sector today, a perfect example of how you are using the information that you do have to see what might be moving today. Try to get a gain there. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day before we sign off for the weekend. But first, let's take a look at any current breaking headlines that may be hitting the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Fastenal, ticker FAST, they announced the resignation of their CFO in a regulatory filing. Brookfield Asset Management, BAM, Boy Apple Mary, they announced a new meeting date for special meeting. Cara Therapeutics, ticker CARA, Charlie Apple, Richard Apple, they announced the effective date for their 1-for-12 reverse stock split. Ticker UNH, United Health and MDS waived the right to terminate their merger pact. BGNE, Boy Grace, Nancy Edward, they got the FDA approval for their drugs, cancer drugs. EA, Electronic Arts, gaming industry sees diminished returns from graphics and investing. Netflix, during the football game, they did a concert by Beyonce, and the clothing she wore was kind of a hot take yesterday. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill. I mean, even on a slow news day, see a perfect example of how Newsware you're still finding some nuggets of information to following. But before we sign off here today and get to trading on this Friday, Let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Calmine Foods. Now, you made this pick following a news item that there was a recall on eggs at Costco. Now, Calmine is an egg producer, thinking that maybe there'd be some momentum on a flip side because of the not so great news with Costco, but you were specific about getting into the right price. As I mentioned earlier in the show, the day was very muted, not a lot of volatility in action, but you were looking to eke out a gain on this one. Bill, how did your call work out?
It worked out okay. It wasn't great. I mean, the stock opened up at 102.28. And then it fell down to 192. Now I was thinking, 101.80. And, if you got in there, we're good. But the high for the day was 102.78. And, it did close at 102.58. And, so it wasn't horrible, but it was just like, it was positive, but there's low volatility. So it was a hard one to pull out. So it's kind of a flat trade, but at the end of the day, Emily.
I will take relatively flat, if not even a little bit of gain, especially on a day like yesterday. Not a lot of action, but we will check in with you tomorrow about today's RGTI pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.